In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where ancient predator species reigned supreme, there existed a race of hunters feared by all, vicious, intelligent, and deadly, capable of tracking and killing any target across countless worlds. For eons, these hunters were unstoppable, their superiority unquestioned. But everything changed when they encountered humanity. At first, the hunters saw humans as weak, insignificant prey, another species to be wiped out without effort. But as they soon learned, humans were far more than they appeared. What the hunters didn't understand was that while other species relied on strength, instinct, and tradition, humanity possessed something far more dangerous, an unyielding will to adapt, to learn, and to innovate. Where others followed predictable paths, humans thought beyond the ordinary, using creativity and resourcefulness to overcome even the most insurmountable odds. Each time the hunters thought they had the upper hand, humans surprised them with new tactics, strategies, and methods that defied all expectations. And with every encounter, it became clearer. Humans weren't just surviving. They were evolving, reshaping the rules of combat, and transforming the entire galaxy's power structure. The question wasn't whether humans could defeat the hunters. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for a species that could outsmart, outlast, and outgrow even the deadliest predators in existence. For the first time in history, the hunters realized they were facing something they couldn't predict, control, or destroy. And this new force, humanity, was just getting started. The hunter species were a force to be reckoned with across countless systems, renowned as the deadliest predators in the galaxy. They were not merely formidable in battle, but were built for it, their very physiology designed to make them the ultimate killing machines. Towering and powerful, they possessed extraordinary strength, enhanced senses, and razor-sharp claws that made them a terror to any living being. Their heightened senses allowed them to track prey from miles away, and their physical prowess made them unmatched in combat. They were skilled in the art of hunting, and for them, it was not just a way of life, but their primary function as a species. Every part of their biology was fine-tuned to make them more efficient in battle, transforming them into ruthless and calculating predators. Their ability to follow and kill any target, regardless of the odds, was a result of centuries of evolutionary refinement. Over time, they had perfected their methods of combat, ensuring they were always steps ahead of their prey. Other species across the galaxy feared them, not only because of their power, but because of their near-perfect tactical minds. The hunters didn't simply overpower their enemies. They outthought them, adapting to different environments and prey with ease. Their reputation as the deadliest predator spread far and wide, and they had taken over every planet in their path, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. To any species that encountered them, the hunters were seen as an unrivaled power, a near-impossible force to oppose. This dominance was rooted in their evolutionary drive for violence, which had shaped every aspect of their society and biology. From the moment they began hunting, the hunters had been conditioned to be the galaxy's most efficient and brutal predators. No planet was safe, no species immune from their invasion. The hunter species' success was based on their relentless pursuit of perfection in battle, an ultimate commitment to violence that made them unstoppable. And yet, despite their dominance, they had yet to meet an adversary who could truly challenge their supremacy. That is, until they met humanity. When the hunters first encountered humanity, they believed they had found just another species to hunt. Humans, by their initial appearance, seemed physically weak and unimpressive compared to the other creatures of the galaxy. Unlike the powerful, formidable species that the hunters were used to confronting, humans appeared small, frail, and lacking the natural weapons or survival advantages that other species had evolved over millennia. In the eyes of the hunter, humans were simply another form of prey, an easily outmatched species waiting to be conquered. However, the hunters' assumptions were quickly challenged when they came into contact with humans in a way they hadn't anticipated. It was not human strength or technology that made them dangerous, but their minds. Unlike other species who relied on instinct and physical prowess to survive, humans demonstrated a unique ability to adapt and think on their feet, especially under pressure. This quality set them apart from the predictable patterns the hunters had come to rely on. The hunters quickly learned that humans didn't fight in a manner they could predict. Where other species followed strict patterns based on instinct, humans relied on creativity, ingenuity, and quick thinking to survive. The hunters were accustomed to battling opponents whose actions were based on fixed behaviors, but humans didn't adhere to any established rules or expectations. They were improvisers, able to think outside the box, adapt to any situation, and even use their environment to their advantage. When a hunter chose a human as prey, it wasn't their strength that caused the hunter to falter, but rather the human's ability to adapt and turn the tables in unexpected ways. One particular human soldier managed to escape from a hunter by devising a strategy and utilizing the environment to their benefit, something the hunters hadn't foreseen or prepared for. This encounter planted a seed of doubt in the hunters' minds. They realized that their usual strategies, honed over centuries, were no longer as effective against humans. Where other species might have succumbed to fear or confusion, humans used these same moments to think critically and outwit their adversaries. This unpredictability became their greatest weapon. The more the hunters engaged with humans, the more they realized that the key to defeating them was not brute force or superior tactics, but an ability to anticipate the unforeseen. The hunters could no longer rely on their usual methods of tracking and overpowering their prey. They had to contend with a species whose survival depended on outthinking them at every turn. Humans did not fight according to an instinctive or instinctively predictable pattern. They used what they had at hand, improvising and adapting in ways the hunters had never encountered. This made humans, in the hunters' eyes, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. As the hunter species encountered humanity more frequently, they began to recognize a key quality that made humans incredibly dangerous: their ability to adapt, not just to survive, but to thrive in an ever-changing environment. Unlike other species who relied on instincts or long-established methods of battle, humans demonstrated an unparalleled capacity to evolve rapidly, often overcoming insurmountable odds. This trait was not limited to physical or mental resilience, but extended to their ability to learn, innovate, and build on their experiences in ways that other species could not match. The hunters, whose species had been refined and honed through millennia of evolutionary violence, had grown accustomed to improving their own abilities over generations. They were warriors by nature, constantly enhancing their physical attributes and refining their battle strategies. However, this evolutionary process was gradual. The hunters perfected their skills through time-tested methods, relying on instinct and tradition. They were powerful, efficient, and formidable opponents, but their improvements were incremental, built on centuries of tradition and refined tactics. For the hunters, battle was about perfecting these tried-and-true methods, constantly honing their physical prowess and combat skills. In stark contrast, humanity's ability to adapt was instantaneous and revolutionary. The hunters quickly realized that the speed at which humans could adjust to new situations was unmatched. In battle, when confronted with a new or unforeseen obstacle, humans did not hesitate to rethink their approach. They were capable of devising entirely new strategies in real time, turning what seemed like a disadvantage into a strength. This capacity for rapid adaptation was not just about individual ingenuity, it was a collective trait. Humans had the ability to learn from each other's experiences, build on one another's knowledge, and pass that knowledge forward, which accelerated their growth and adaptability exponentially. What made humans so dangerous was not simply their ability to survive, but their ability to improve at a pace that outstripped all other species. The hunters, who had spent centuries perfecting their battle tactics, found themselves increasingly outmaneuvered by humans. While they relied on fixed, predictable patterns, humans could innovate on the spot, using tools, strategies, and environmental advantages in ways the hunters hadn't anticipated. This was particularly troubling because the hunters were not accustomed to facing enemies that didn't follow the established rules of combat. In essence, the hunters were fighting a species that had no fixed rulebook to follow, and they found themselves continually caught off guard. Another layer of complexity was added when the hunters realized that humans were not only adaptable, but were also able to outgrow their weaknesses at a rate that no other species could match. Where the hunters had honed their skills over millennia, humans could overcome their physical limitations in a matter of days or weeks. This ability to learn and evolve so quickly gave humans an edge that was difficult for the hunters to counter. Even though the hunter species had the advantage of physical power and advanced tactics, humanity's intellectual and creative agility made them a formidable adversary. The hunters could see that, if allowed to develop unchecked, humanity could evolve far beyond their current capabilities, potentially threatening the very structure of galactic power. Ultimately, the hunters understood that humans' capacity for rapid adaptation was not just a survival mechanism. It was a fundamental trait that enabled them to transcend their physical limitations and constantly reimagine their approach to conflict. This ability to grow and adapt at such an accelerated pace made humans a moving target. And the more the hunters encountered them, the more they realized that the true danger was not in defeating them in a single encounter, but in the fact that humans were continuously evolving and improving. Every time they faced humans, the hunters had to contend not just with the present version of humanity, but with the knowledge that humans would be different, more dangerous, and more innovative the next time they met. One of the most alarming realizations the hunters came to was the inherent unpredictability of humanity. Unlike other species whose behavior followed established patterns based on instincts and traditions, humans were not bound by predictable rules. This made them especially dangerous to the hunter species, who relied on their ability to read and anticipate the movements of their prey. Where other species had clear, instinctual tendencies that could be observed and understood over time, humans defied those patterns at every turn, making them highly unpredictable. At first, the hunters underestimated humanity. They viewed humans as another simple prey species, believing their physical limitations would make them easy targets. However, as they began to engage with humans more frequently, the hunters discovered that humans did not behave as expected. They were capable of thinking and reacting in ways that were not instinctive, but rather based on creativity, strategy, and innovation. This unpredictability was something the hunters could not prepare for, and it made the humans an incredibly difficult adversary to track and eliminate. Humans didn't just react to challenges. They actively sought them out. Where other species might shy away from adversity, humans embraced it. Their ability to turn obstacles into opportunities was something the hunter species had never encountered before. While the hunters were masters of combat, able to anticipate and adapt to most situations using their physical prowess and refined tactics, humans relied on something entirely different: their intelligence, resourcefulness, and a sheer will to survive. They could analyze a problem from every angle and develop solutions that the hunters simply couldn't foresee. This made humanity's actions unpredictable and impossible to plan for, even by the most experienced of the hunter species. This unpredictability was not limited to combat alone. In every aspect of their existence, humans demonstrated an ability to adjust and adapt in ways that defied expectations. Whether it was in the creation of new tools, the development of new strategies, or simply the ability to use the environment to their advantage, humans were able to continuously evolve and overcome challenges. Even when the situation seemed hopeless, humans would find a way to turn things around, often exploiting weaknesses that others might not even have noticed. This flexibility in thinking was a direct contrast to the rigid, instinct-driven behavior of the hunter species, who were trained to follow a specific set of rules and strategies. The hunters quickly realized that, unlike other species who followed instinctual patterns, humans relied on ingenuity and adaptability to navigate the challenges they faced. In battle, for example, a human might not rely on sheer physical strength or experience, but could instead outthink the opponent, using their environment, tools, or even their enemy's own strategies against them. This made humans not just unpredictable but dangerous, as they were capable of coming up with solutions that were both novel and effective. Over time, the hunters began to understand the true depth of humanity's unpredictability. The soldiers they faced weren't just reactive. They were proactive in their approach to survival and combat. They sought out ways to challenge themselves and improve, often surprising their opponents with tactics that no one had anticipated. The humans' willingness to innovate, adapt, and persist in the face of overwhelming odds made them a constant threat. This ability to overcome adversity and find solutions where none seemed to exist gave humans a resilience that other species lacked. No matter how sophisticated the hunters' strategies were, humans could counter them by thinking outside the box, making every encounter with them more challenging than the last. The most unsettling realization for the hunters was that humans did not simply respond to threats. They actively changed the game. Every time they encountered humans, the hunters were forced to reevaluate their strategies and expectations. Just when the hunters thought they had humans figured out, the humans would shift their approach, creating new strategies that the hunters had not prepared for. This relentless creativity and adaptability meant that humans were always one step ahead, and the hunters were left struggling to predict their next move. In essence, it wasn't just the unpredictability of humans that made them dangerous. It was their ability to constantly evolve, improve, and outthink their opponents. The hunters, who relied on their sharp instincts and battle-hardened tactics, were finding themselves at a disadvantage when facing an enemy that did not play by the same rules. This unpredictability in human behavior was a constant source of anxiety for the hunter species, as they realized that no matter how advanced their tactics became, they could never fully anticipate what humans would do next. This made humanity not only a formidable opponent, but also a wild card in the larger galactic power dynamics. One of the most terrifying aspects of humanity from the hunter species perspective was humans' ability to innovate and evolve at a pace unmatched by any other species. While other creatures in the galaxy honed their physical attributes or perfected battle tactics over centuries, humans demonstrated an unprecedented capacity for progress and adaptation. This rapid development, especially in terms of technology, problem-solving, and creativity, made them a unique and formidable threat to the established order. Whereas other species in the galaxy were bound by tradition and centuries of refining established methods, humans demonstrated a remarkable ability to learn, adapt, and innovate at a speed that defied expectations. The hunter species, despite their physical prowess and battle-hardened nature, had spent millennia honing their skills and improving their tactics. They were able to predict and understand how most other species would react in combat situations because these species adhered to certain natural patterns or instincts. In contrast, humanity was able to build upon previous knowledge, absorb new information, and create entirely new approaches to challenges in a fraction of the time it took other species. Humans didn't just make incremental improvements, they developed breakthroughs. Whether it was in the development of tools, strategies, or social systems, humans had an uncanny ability to come up with novel solutions to problems that no one had thought of before. This constant innovation meant that humans were not only keeping pace with other species, they were often outstripping them, adapting to new environments, challenges, and technologies faster than any other species in the galaxy. This ability to rapidly advance and improve created an almost insurmountable advantage, especially when they were facing a species like the hunters, who were tied to their traditions and instincts. This rapid evolution was not confined to any single domain. Humans demonstrated their ingenuity in every aspect of life, from the use of tools to the manipulation of their environment. While other species might have focused solely on physical strength or refining combat tactics, humans also sought advancements in other areas like agriculture, medicine, and communication, using their creativity to improve their quality of life in ways that translated directly to their survival. They could think outside the box in a way that no other species could. Where the hunters relied on physical might and the established principles of hunting and combat, humans could develop new methods, adapt to new environments, and use technology in ways that made them unpredictable and difficult to defeat. The ability of humans to quickly adapt and innovate was not just a matter of creating new technologies or strategies. It was about their entire approach to survival and problem-solving. Humans didn't just react to external threats. They proactively sought them out as opportunities to grow stronger. This proactive mindset, combined with their creativity, made them dangerous on multiple levels. In every conflict or encounter, humans didn't just fight, They learned, they improved, and they adapted. This process of rapid learning and adaptation allowed humans to evolve much more quickly than species that followed more rigid evolutionary paths. Unlike other species that took millennia to refine their instincts and methods, humans could change their tactics, develop new technologies, and overcome obstacles in a matter of days, months, or even hours. This speed of evolution made them an unpredictable force in the galaxy. As they encountered new threats or challenges, they were able to quickly find solutions, develop new tools, and adjust their strategies, often outpacing their enemies' ability to counter them. This speed of innovation also gave humans the ability to reshape entire ecosystems and environments to suit their needs, something no other species could do as efficiently. While the hunter species had perfected their ability to navigate hostile environments and hunt their prey, humans were able to transform their surroundings to gain a strategic advantage. For instance, they could build structures, create technology, and manipulate resources in ways that gave them a level of control over their environment that no other species could match. This was not just a matter of surviving. It was about thriving and reshaping their world to their advantage. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of humanity's rapid evolution was that this innovation was not only driven by necessity, but by curiosity and creativity. Where other species might have stagnated after reaching a certain point in their development, humans constantly pushed forward. They never stopped looking for new ways to improve, to refine their understanding of the world, and to create new methods to address old problems. This constant drive to innovate meant that no matter how much the hunter species evolved or refined their skills, they were always playing catch-up with humanity. In the context of their encounters with humans, the hunters quickly realized that humanity was not simply a species capable of survival. They were a species capable of rewriting the rules of engagement. Humans didn't need centuries to adapt or improve. They could do so in mere moments. And this rapid evolution and innovation were not just limited to technology or combat. It was embedded in their social structures, their cultures, and their approach to the world around them. No matter where they encountered humans, they were always faced with a species that was one step ahead, always finding new ways to outthink and outmaneuver their adversaries. This ability to innovate at such a rapid pace meant that humans were constantly evolving beyond the limitations of their own biology and environment. The more the hunters studied humanity, the more they understood that this rapid advancement made them a species to be feared, not just for their current capabilities, but for what they could become in the future. With each new discovery, each new solution to an old problem, humanity was inching closer to becoming a dominant force in the galaxy, one that could eventually rival and even surpass the ancient and formidable hunter species. The true danger of humanity, from the hunter's perspective, was not in their physical strength or even their current level of technology, but in their relentless drive to innovate and evolve. Humanity's ability to adapt and improve at such an astonishing rate meant that they would continue to grow, continuously finding new ways to challenge and defeat their enemies. The hunter species had spent centuries refining their skills, but humans could develop faster than they could ever anticipate, making them a constantly shifting and evolving threat. What set humans apart from the other species, especially in the eyes of the hunter species, was not just their ability to fight, but their innate capacity to survive and thrive in situations that would have destroyed lesser beings. Despite their apparent physical limitations, being smaller and less resilient than many other species, they demonstrated an exceptional ability to endure hardships and push forward, no matter the odds. This adaptability under pressure, coupled with their tenacity, made them unpredictable and dangerous adversaries. Where other species relied heavily on their physical strengths and honed combat skills, humans were masters of improvisation and resourcefulness. When faced with adversity, they didn't simply rely on brute force. They adapted, they learned, and they found ways to use the environment to their advantage. Humans excelled in overcoming obstacles by thinking outside the box. While creatures like the hunters could anticipate and plan for physical confrontations, humans were adept at changing the dynamics of a situation, finding ways to make their weaknesses into strengths. One of the key traits that made humans so dangerous was their ability to adapt quickly to any environment. especially when faced with overwhelming odds. The galaxy had countless planets with hostile terrains, fierce predators, and deadly conditions. But humans were uniquely capable of adjusting to these challenges. Whether it was building shelter in inhospitable environments, using limited resources to create tools, or developing strategies for survival in extreme conditions, humans showed an uncanny ability to thrive under the most trying circumstances. This adaptability wasn't just about survival. It was about thriving in a hostile universe. Humans didn't just adapt to their environment. They actively reshaped it to suit their needs. For example, while many species relied on their innate physical adaptations, humans used their intelligence and resourcefulness to develop technology and tools that allowed them to control and modify their surroundings. They could turn barren landscapes into fertile grounds for agriculture or transform hostile environments into livable spaces through innovation and engineering. This ability to not just endure, but transform their environment made humans a species of constant evolution, with no limit to the improvements they could make in their surroundings. Another crucial aspect of human survival was their ability to build and share knowledge. Unlike many species who were bound by instinct and passed down knowledge through a limited scope, humans could communicate, teach, and learn from one another. This meant that humans didn't have to start from scratch each time they faced a new challenge. They could build on the experiences of others. Knowledge wasn't static for humans. It was dynamic and constantly evolving. This sharing of knowledge allowed them to survive and thrive in ways other species simply couldn't. They learned from past mistakes, shared solutions, and adapted their methods based on previous experiences. The human capacity to work together also played a critical role in their survival and thriving. Unlike the solitary or more hierarchical species that operated in small, isolated units, humans were social creatures who relied on collaboration and teamwork. In the face of danger, they didn't act alone. They pooled their resources, combined their skills, and fought as a collective unit. This cooperation, even in the most desperate situations, allowed humans to accomplish feats that would have been impossible for individuals or even groups of other species. Their ability to strategize and cooperate under pressure meant that even when facing overwhelming odds, they could find ways to fight back, regroup, and ultimately prevail. The hunter species, accustomed to fighting alone or in tight-knit groups, struggled to comprehend this human approach to survival. In their understanding, the key to dominance was the physical prowess of the individual. However, humans turned this notion on its head by demonstrating that collective effort, intelligence, and adaptability were far more powerful. The hunter species, for all their experience and skill in battle, could not match the depth of human ingenuity when it came to surviving hostile environments and dangerous situations. Humans' resilience was also evident in their ability to recover from setbacks. When a single individual or a group of humans faced a loss, it wasn't the end of the story. Humans had an extraordinary ability to bounce back from failure. They learned from their mistakes, adapted their strategies, and came back stronger. This cycle of continual improvement through adversity made humans not just survivors, but a species that grew stronger the more challenges they faced. The hunters, who prided themselves on their ability to continuously refine their tactics and improve their hunting methods, found themselves in awe of humans who were not bound by any preset strategies or patterns. Humans had the ability to reinvent themselves after every defeat and rise again, more capable and more determined than before. This trait was deeply unsettling to the hunter species. The hunters, despite their predatory nature, could not match the human resolve to not just survive, but to continuously improve in the face of hardship. The human's ability to take what would have been crippling losses for other species and turn them into opportunities for growth was something that the hunters had never encountered before. It was one of the most dangerous aspects of humanity, their capacity to endure, to adapt, and to emerge from adversity stronger than ever. This resilience was something the hunter species simply could not predict or counter, as it didn't rely on brute strength or battle tactics, but on a deeper, more fundamental drive to persist and overcome. The fear the hunter species experienced came not from the sheer physical presence of humans, but from their will to keep pushing forward, no matter the setbacks. When other species would crumble under pressure, when they would retreat or fail to adapt, humans pressed on. This made them terrifying not because they were invincible, but because they could always find a way to come back, smarter, faster, and more capable than before. The more the hunters encountered humanity, the more they realized that humans were not just a species to fight. They were a species to respect, as their ability to survive and thrive under the most difficult conditions was beyond anything the hunters had ever faced. This ability to endure and evolve under pressure was not simply a survival instinct. It was ingrained in human nature. The will to keep going, even in the face of overwhelming odds, had shaped their history. From the early days of humanity's struggles on Earth to their eventual rise as a galactic power, humans had always found a way to adapt, to overcome, and to move forward. This relentless determination was one of the primary reasons why the hunters began to fear humans. They recognized that if humanity continued at this pace, there was no limit to what they could achieve, no challenge they couldn't overcome, and no obstacle they couldn't adapt to. In summary, the hunters' fear of humans was deeply rooted in their capacity to survive and thrive under the most extreme conditions. While the hunter species had perfected their predatory abilities, humans demonstrated an unparalleled resilience and adaptability that made them an unpredictable, ever-growing threat. Where others saw failure, humans saw opportunity for growth. Where others saw defeat, humans saw a chance to learn and improve. It was this unwavering determination to endure, adapt, and innovate that made humanity such a formidable adversary, a species that could not be defeated simply through physical might or traditional tactics. The hunters knew that the more they faced humans, the more they would have to reckon with an enemy that would only grow stronger with every challenge they encountered. One of the most dangerous and unique traits that set humans apart from the hunter species was their capacity to learn from one another and innovate collectively. While many species relied on individual skills, instincts, or centuries-old traditions, humans demonstrated a remarkable ability to build upon the knowledge and experiences of others. This allowed them not only to survive, but to constantly evolve and adapt in ways that no other species could match. Unlike the hunters, whose battle strategies and tactics were refined over millennia through physical conditioning and rigorous training, humans developed an entirely different approach. The hunters prided themselves on their ability to master physical prowess and combat techniques through generations of experience. However, the human species took knowledge and skill acquisition to an entirely new level by leveraging social learning. Humans didn't just rely on their individual experiences. They communicated, collaborated, and shared knowledge, which allowed for the rapid spread of ideas and techniques across generations. This meant that humans could learn from one another, develop strategies, and continually improve without having to experience everything firsthand. This sharing of knowledge was facilitated by the development of language, writing, and eventually digital communication technologies. These advancements enabled humans to pass down valuable information, not just through oral tradition, but through detailed records, blueprints, and structured systems of learning. This created a culture of continuous improvement. For example, where a single hunter might spend years mastering a particular hunting method, a human could gather and share that knowledge in a matter of months or even weeks. Through this process, humans were able to accelerate their technological and tactical evolution exponentially. Moreover, humans didn't just stop at learning from each other. They also adapted and reimagined existing knowledge. They didn't see a problem as a challenge to overcome in the traditional sense. Instead, they sought to find entirely new ways to solve problems, even if it meant going against established norms or systems. This innovative mindset allowed them to constantly push the boundaries of what was possible. Whereas other species might have taken centuries to adapt to a new environment or circumstance, humans could do so in a fraction of that time. They didn't just follow the rules of nature. They broke them, they modified them, and they made them work in their favor. This process of constant innovation was particularly dangerous for the hunter species because it meant that humans were never stagnant. The hunters, who had perfected their skills and tactics over long periods of time, found themselves up against an adversary that was not constrained by tradition. Every time the hunters thought they had figured out a human tactic or strategy, they were confronted with a new, more inventive approach. Humans were not bound by instinct or inherited knowledge. Every individual had the potential to contribute new ideas, new tools, and new ways of thinking. This made them an unpredictable and adaptable force in the galaxy. Furthermore, humans didn't just innovate for the sake of innovation. They innovated in response to challenges. Every obstacle they encountered became an opportunity to learn, grow, and create new solutions. While other species might face a setback and accept it as a limitation, humans would examine the problem, dissect it, and devise strategies to overcome it. This ability to not only survive, but to improve through adversity gave humans an edge that was virtually impossible to predict or counter. The hunter species, who had long relied on their formidable instincts and perfected battle tactics, came to realize that they were facing something entirely new when confronting humans. They understood that the threat was not just in the physical confrontation, but in the ingenuity humans brought to the table. For the first time, the hunter species encountered an adversary that could think faster, innovate more effectively, and apply knowledge in ways that completely shattered traditional expectations. This made humans a constant, evolving threat. They were not just learning from their past mistakes. They were actively reshaping the future with each new insight and development. Additionally, the concept of collaborative innovation was critical to humanity's strength. Unlike the solitary or small unit tactics favored by many species, including the hunters, humans thrived in larger social structures where multiple minds worked together to solve problems. This cooperative nature allowed humans to pool their resources, knowledge, and abilities to create solutions that no single individual could have conceived. From the earliest days of humanity's survival on Earth to their advanced spacefaring societies, humans always relied on teamwork and collaboration to overcome challenges that were otherwise insurmountable. The hunters, for all their power, had a more isolated and individualized approach to combat and strategy. Their social structures were centered around the warrior as an individual, and their methods of learning were based on personal experience rather than collective knowledge. They honed their skills over lifetimes, passing them down to the next generation through their own traditions. But humans broke that mold. They were not just a collection of individuals, but a dynamic and interconnected species capable of evolving as a collective entity. This shift from individual excellence to collective advancement was the core of human success, and it was something that the hunter species could not match. In summary, humans' ability to learn from one another and innovate collectively made them a uniquely formidable species. They were not bound by tradition or instinct. Instead, they had an extraordinary capacity to learn, adapt, and innovate at an unprecedented rate. Where other species relied on generations of experience, humans excelled by pooling knowledge, adapting quickly, and constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible. This made them an unpredictable force that no other species, not even the mighty hunters, could anticipate or defeat easily. The hunters' fear of humanity wasn't just based on their immediate survival. It was rooted in the long-term recognition that humans were capable of reshaping the balance of power in the galaxy through their unrelenting drive to innovate and improve. One of the most unsettling aspects of humanity for the hunter species was the unpredictable nature of human behavior. The hunters, as an ancient and highly evolved species, prided themselves on their ability to anticipate the actions of their prey. Their instincts and tactics had been honed over centuries, allowing them to be precise and efficient hunters. They were capable of predicting the behavior of almost any species they encountered, as their prey typically followed a set of predictable biological instincts. However, humans were different. Their ability to think, adapt, and innovate under pressure made them virtually impossible to predict, which was a terrifying quality for the hunters. From the moment the hunters first encountered humans, they saw them as nothing more than simple prey. Their initial assumption was that humans were weaker and less capable than the other species they had hunted. Humans appeared frail, lacking the physical strength or advanced combat skills that other species possessed. Yet, as the hunters began engaging with humans in battle or hunting scenarios, they quickly realized they were facing an adversary that didn't fit the mold. Unlike the predictable animals or warriors they were used to, humans didn't fight according to a set pattern or instinct. They didn't rely solely on strength, speed, or predetermined tactics. Instead, humans exhibited an ability to think and act on the fly, using creativity and quick thinking to outmaneuver even the most dangerous predators. This was not a trait that the hunters could easily account for. In each encounter, humans seemed to react in unexpected ways, shifting tactics, using their environment to their advantage, and exploiting weaknesses that the hunters couldn't have predicted. This adaptability made them incredibly dangerous because it meant that even if the hunters had a clear advantage in one moment, that advantage could quickly evaporate as humans altered their approach. The key to humans' unpredictability lay in their mindset. Where other species might fall into instinctual patterns, responding predictably to threats with pre-programmed strategies, humans were able to think outside the box. In high-pressure situations, when it seemed like the odds were overwhelmingly stacked against them, humans were not paralyzed by fear or panic. Instead, they found ways to survive, adapt, and counterattack. This was a characteristic that terrified the hunters, who had relied on their calculated strategies and refined skills to outmatch other species. No matter how much the hunters trained or how perfect their instincts had become, they couldn't anticipate the creative, adaptive responses that humans would devise. An important aspect of this unpredictability was that humans did not rely on brute force alone. Many species, including the hunters, were conditioned to see power and strength as the ultimate tools of survival. When they engaged in battle, they did so with force, relying on their superior physical abilities to dominate. Humans, however, often relied on cunning and strategy, making them unpredictable. They used tactics that other species couldn't foresee. They used the terrain to their advantage, set traps, created diversions, and even used tools in novel ways. In one encounter, for instance, a human soldier might use a weapon in an unexpected manner, or in another, a human might exploit the environment in ways that no one, including the hunters, could have anticipated. Moreover, humans' unpredictability wasn't limited to their direct physical responses. Their strategic thinking was equally diverse and creative. The hunters, who had spent centuries perfecting their hunting methods, were used to targeting weaknesses based on biology and instinct. But humans, with their innovative minds, could adapt and modify their weaknesses, turning what appeared to be vulnerabilities into opportunities for outwitting their opponents. This made humans incredibly difficult to predict because they didn't just play by the usual rules, they created new ones. This unpredictability also meant that humans were able to use their environment in ways that the hunters couldn't have foreseen. Whereas other species might have fought on a battlefield using their own strengths, humans were able to manipulate their surroundings, whether that meant using natural elements, building structures, or even crafting tools from available resources. These tools, especially when combined with human ingenuity, allowed them to overcome physical limitations and pose an even greater threat to their enemies. The hunters, despite their superior physicality, could not match this kind of adaptability. The more the hunters encountered humans, the more they realized how little they truly understood about their adversary. Where the hunters had grown comfortable with certain strategies, predatory tactics that had worked for centuries, humans constantly rewrote the playbook. Their behavior was shaped by culture, knowledge, and a shared history, which meant that any human could come up with something new and unexpected. Each encounter brought with it new strategies, new tools, and new methods of engagement, leaving the hunters to play catch-up. What made humans especially dangerous was not only their capacity for unpredictability, but also their ability to evolve quickly. In combat or strategic scenarios, humans didn't need generations to refine their tactics. A single human might develop a new strategy, and that strategy could spread quickly throughout their entire species. This meant that over time, the collective unpredictability of humanity would only grow. The hunters realized that humans didn't just innovate, they accelerated their innovations at a pace that was impossible for other species to match. Each battle with a human, while initially thought of as a simple encounter, would leave the hunters with more information about their opponent's unpredictable nature, which in turn would be used by humans to further evolve their tactics. For the hunters, The fear of unpredictability was compounded by the realization that their traditional hunting strategies and well-established instincts were not enough to counter the humans. They had spent eons refining their ability to track, stalk, and eliminate their prey with precise skill. But humans were not their typical prey. Humans didn't just react to threats. They actively sought out challenges, knowing that these challenges were what propelled their advancement. This made them even more difficult to predict. They didn't wait for the hunter to make the first move. Instead, they took the initiative, used the environment against them, and created situations where the hunter would have to react. In conclusion, the unpredictability of humans, driven by their creativity, quick thinking, and willingness to adapt and change, made them a uniquely dangerous threat to the hunter species. The ability to outmaneuver adversaries using inventive strategies and tactics was something that the hunters, who had relied on millennia of combat experience, were unable to match. With each encounter, humans grew more capable, more unpredictable, and more dangerous. Their capacity for innovation, whether in direct combat or in using their environment, left the hunters unable to predict the next move, creating a constant and escalating sense of fear. The true terror for the hunters wasn't just the immediate danger of facing humanity. It was the knowledge that no matter how much they adapted, humans would always find new ways to outsmart them. As the hunters, an ancient and highly evolved predator species, continued to encounter humans, they began to realize that they were facing something completely unlike any other adversary they had ever encountered. Humans were not just a new species in the galaxy. They were an emerging force capable of dramatically reshaping the balance of power. This realization grew gradually as the hunters began to study humans more closely, observing their rapid evolution and ability to adapt to nearly any situation. The hunters, who had spent centuries honing their abilities to dominate other species, understood how to outmaneuver or overpower their enemies based on instincts, physical prowess, and long-established tactics. However, the more they engaged with humans, the more they came to realize that humanity was not bound by the same limitations. In fact, humans were uniquely poised to outgrow and outshine them. One of the key factors that made humanity such a formidable force was their capacity for rapid innovation and adaptability. Unlike other species who adhered to their traditional methods and struggled to break free from ingrained patterns of behavior, humans were constantly evolving, learning, and developing new approaches to overcoming challenges. This trait was not just confined to physical strength or combat prowess. Humans excelled in every aspect of their existence. They had the ability to modify their strategies on the fly, using intelligence and creativity to turn weaknesses into strengths. In battle, they didn't rely on brute force alone. They employed ingenuity, using their environment, technology, and sophisticated tactics in ways that no other species could anticipate. This made them unpredictable, which was one of the most alarming qualities for the hunter species. Humans had the capacity to adapt quickly to changing circumstances and overcome obstacles that seemed insurmountable. Whether it was on the battlefield or in other areas of conflict, humans had an unparalleled ability to learn from their experiences and apply that knowledge in novel ways. The hunters, on the other hand, had spent millennia refining their tactics and improving their physical abilities, but they lacked the ability to reinvent themselves as rapidly as humans could. Every time the hunters thought they had figured out humanity's weaknesses, humans found new ways to turn the tables. They didn't need centuries to perfect their tactics. They could achieve rapid advancements in a fraction of the time that other species required. This rapid adaptation made humanity a dangerous and unpredictable force. Another significant factor in humanity's rise was their ability to learn from each other. While other species were bound by their instincts or traditions, humans were able to build on their collective knowledge. The sharing of information and the exchange of ideas allowed humans to develop strategies that were both innovative and effective. When one individual or group developed a new tactic, it could quickly be disseminated and adopted by others, allowing humanity to evolve at an astonishing pace. The hunters had always relied on individual prowess, the refinement of physical and mental abilities passed down through generations. However, humans didn't need the same slow, methodical process. They could develop new techniques and strategies through collaboration, experimentation, and the sharing of ideas. This created a dynamic that the hunters were not equipped to contend with. Humans' adaptability was not limited to combat. It extended to every facet of their existence. They adapted to the harshest environments, utilizing tools and technologies in ways that no other species had imagined. Their societies were built on constant change and innovation, which allowed them to thrive in situations where other species might have perished. For the hunters, who had a more rigid, traditional approach to survival and dominance, this constant flux was unsettling. It made humanity a force that was not just resilient in the face of adversity, but capable of thriving under conditions that would break other species. The hunters also came to understand that humanity's greatest strength lay in their determination and will to survive. Unlike other species, whose survival instincts were primarily driven by fear or the need to preserve their own lives, humans were driven by an inner resolve to keep moving forward, to push the boundaries of what was possible. This sense of determination allowed them to overcome challenges that would cause other species to falter. Even when faced with seemingly insurmountable odds, humans didn't give up. Instead, they found ways to persevere, to adapt, and to keep advancing. This was a quality that made them more than just a threat. It made them a potential game-changer in the galaxy. The realization that humans were not merely a passing threat, but an emerging force of nature, began to weigh heavily on the hunters. The more they studied humanity, the more they realized that humans were not just surviving in the galaxy. They were actively reshaping it. They were not content to simply exist alongside other species. They were determined to change the very rules of the galaxy's power dynamics. Humans didn't simply seek to adapt. They sought to innovate and redefine what was possible. This was a profound shift that was unlike anything the hunters had ever seen before. The hunters, who had long viewed themselves as the ultimate predators in the galaxy, began to question their position in the hierarchy. They had never encountered a species that could learn and adapt so rapidly. This realization made them increasingly fearful of the future. If humanity continued on its current trajectory, they could eventually surpass even the most powerful species in the galaxy. The hunters feared that their dominance would be overthrown by a species that didn't rely on brute force or traditional combat strategies, but on ingenuity, collaboration, and relentless determination. As the hunters observed humanity's continued rise, they understood that the true threat posed by humans was not their ability to defeat individual hunters in combat, but the potential for humanity to reshape the entire galaxy's balance of power. The more the hunters realized this, the more they feared what was coming. Humanity was not just a species that could fight back. They were a species that could challenge the very foundation of the galactic order. They had the capacity to break free from the limitations that had confined other species, and they were doing so at an unprecedented pace. In conclusion, the emergence of humanity as a force capable of reshaping the galaxy was a terrifying realization for the hunters. Humans were not bound by the same physical limitations or traditions that other species adhered to. They had the ability to adapt, innovate, and thrive in ways that were beyond the comprehension of the hunter species. This made them not just a threat to individual predators, but to the entire galactic order. The hunters' fear of humanity grew not because of their physical strength, but because of their unprecedented capacity for rapid change, innovation, and adaptability. If humanity was allowed to continue its rise unchecked, they could soon become a dominant force in the galaxy, reshaping the future in ways that the hunters could not even begin to anticipate.